A young man is in hot pursuit of a middle-aged woman. He waves down a police car. He points them to the woman without knowing. He just assisted authorities in capturing one of Mexico's most heinous serial killers, Juana Barraza Samperio, aka La Mataviejitas. Uy cucuy, welcome back to the Mexighost Tales. I am your host, Denny Chavez, and today we will bring you another true crime case. This is probably one of the most infamous cases in Mexico's history. This case does involve murder, essay, and gore. As always, viewer discretion is advised. All we talk about in this channel is ghost stories, urban legends, true crime, conspiracy theories, and more hailing from Mexico. If you like this video, it will help us tremendously if you leave a like, comment, and also share the video. If this type of content is for you, subscribe to our channel. We are really looking forward to you becoming a part of our community. Juana Barraza Samperio is without a doubt one of the most infamous serial killers in Mexico's history. Her case caught the attention of the whole country due to the victim profile that she used. Her victims were in the age group of 65 to 90 years of age, hence the nickname La Mataviejitas, which literally translates to the little old lady killer. But she's also known as the first female killer in Mexico history without an economic motive. Normally, when you have female serial killers, the motive in the majority of the cases is monetary. This woman, in her case, are more towards the passionate side of crimes. So she was the first one identified without any economic gains for the reason to commit her crimes. Her story uncovered the incompetence of Mexican authorities, not because she was a highly sophisticated murderer, on the contrary, but more because of the misogynistic state of mind that ran rampant in the law enforcement agencies at the time, the lack of training, and the know-how to handle these investigations, as we will see further into this episode. Juana Barraza Samperio was born in Epazoyucan, Hidalgo, in 1957. She was sentenced to 759 years in prison for the murders of 16 elderly women that were committed in Mexico City. Her killing spree lasted from 1998 to 2006 when she was finally arrested. She was an anomaly as she was a tall, corpulent woman. Initially, authorities thought the killer was a man due to the amount of force used by Barraza to strangle her victims. They built a profile of the suspect. They stated they were looking for a man who was transgender, that it was a prostitute, and would impersonate a government employee, gaining the victim's trust first, making them vulnerable to the attacks. Barraza was also a trained wrestler that used the monarch, La Dama del Silencio, or the Lady of Silence. She was a true lucha libre fan. She was actually once interviewed in a lucha libre arena by a national network. They like to claim that it was because of them that they got her, but we'll get into that later. According to Barraza, her mother was an alcoholic. Her father abandoned the household when she was only 5 years old. She claims that her mother, in a gathering with friends, allowed a man to have his way with Juana in exchange for 3 beers, leaving the then only 13-year-old Barraza pregnant. Daily, she was berated by her mother and physically abused. This caused her disdain for elderly women, claiming that they reminded her of the mistreatment of her mother when she was a child. Juana had a total of 7 children, his oldest being murdered at the age of 24 in a gang-related murder. By the year 2003, she started an uptick on her murderous ways, causing the media to scrutinize authorities for the lack of results in the investigation. Bernardo Batis, Mexico City Attorney General, had stated they were dealing with a murderer who had a brilliant mind. He was skewed and careful to cover his tracks. Keep in mind, at this point, the police were still looking for a man. They went on raids, rounding up transgenders and prostitutes, looking for El Mataviejitas. The harassment was such that they had to manifest publicly for the authorities to stop arresting them without any evidence. They were not in the commission of any crime at the time of their arrest, as prostitution is a legal activity in Mexico. In an incredible display of incompetence, Batis even placed elder women in the park to be used as bait for the killer to approach them and take them so they could arrest them red-handed. Keep in mind, these were normal day-to-day folks, so this was not a sting operation with undercover cops or trained personnel. At this point, authorities only had one thing right, and that was the modus operandi, which was that Juana Barraza would gain access to her victims, claiming that she was a nurse working for a governmental entity. Once inside the victim's home, she would bludgeon them and would strangle the elderly ladies with a stethoscope or any other object she could find. Finally, on January 25, 2006, Juana Barraza was arrested after murdering 84-year-old Ana Maria de los Reyes Alfaro. People were dumbfounded when the media started reporting that the murder of the elderly ladies in Mexico City was not a he, as authorities had suspected, but a she. That she was then 48 years old and her name was Juana de Llanara Barraza Samperio. Turns out that Ana Maria was returning home from grocery shopping. She was having a hard time carrying the bags, and Juana Barraza offered to help. Once inside the home, Barraza offered her services. She told Reyes Alfaro she could do laundry and iron her clothes if she needed it. The elderly lady told Barraza that she was willing to pay 22 pesos, about $1.10 a dozen of clothes. Barraza said it was not enough, to which, according to La Mataviejitas, Ana Maria uttered, "Así son las gatas, quieren ganar demasiado dinero." Gatas is a derogatory word for domestic workers, so she basically told her that she was asking too much. Barraza did not say a word. She grabbed the stethoscope laying on the table nearby and started strangling Ana Maria to death. A young man that lived with Barraza's last victim and saw her coming out of the house, he rushed to the home and saw Ana Maria laying on the floor. Then he started a foot pursuit of Juana Barraza. He saw a police car and waved it down, and they captured La Mataviejitas. Although Juana Barraza Samperio admitted to killing Ana Maria de los Reyes, she denied being involved in the 10 murders of elderly women that the public ministry was accusing her. She was later charged with an additional 6 murders. She has claimed in interviews that she did not commit the other crimes that she is being accused of. The 67th Court of Santa Marta Acatlita Female Penitentiary sentenced her to 759 years in prison, with 16 counts of murder and 12 counts of burglary, making this the most lengthy sentence in Mexico's history. However, the maximum sentence that can be given to any individual according to the Mexican judicial system is 50 years. Barraza would be set free at the age of 98. She is currently 65 years old. And with that, we come to the ending of another Mexighost Tales. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave us a like. You can also find us on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook as the Mexighost. And as always, we will see you on the next one, where we will explore another part of Mexico's other history.
Y celebraremos una gran fiesta mexicana juntos.
¿De qué fiesta hablas?
Noviembre 2.
¿Y qué celebran?
A los muertos.